Well, hello, everyone. I am Patti Hall, and you are either watching on my Get Balanced 2020 channel or you're on my Divine Warrior Intuitive channel. So thank you for coming. If you look down below, there's a little bit description about what I'll be talking about today. And also, please subscribe to one of my channels or both channels if you would like to. The Get Balanced 2020 or the Divine Warrior Intuitive. A little bit different on the Divine Warrior Intuitive is all about spiritual and some other interesting things that we do over there. But Get Balanced 2020 is all about putting your mindset into a positive mind of success and progressive thinking and forward thinking, getting rid of some dysfunctionalism in our lives, as well as also to growing to our calling and our purpose, and to help you get through your challenges. That's what that life coaching is about. And the spiritual coaching is about getting to understand yourself as a spirit and what it is and what it means to you. And the body's about nutrition and fitness, so we help you get on track with nutrition and fitness. And I say we because it is, I don't know why I use that term. I always do, me, myself, and I kind of thing. Okay, so welcome. Today we're actually talking about a very interesting topic. And so it can fall into the mindset. It also can fall into spirituality. It's all about energies and vibrations, frequencies, radio frequencies, those kind of things. And even at the end, if you're interested in what all this RFID stuff is, well, we're going through that, and you're going to hear a lot more of that, a lot more than what we probably really want to. So we're going to talk about those radio frequencies, what they might and how will affect us if we actually do end up having to get RFIDs, which it is coming to our future, unfortunately. So anyway, so we're going to start with what the basic of energies and vibrations are. Now, this is all basic topic. I'm not going to go into scientific stuff because I'm more of a spiritual person, and how they affect us through our spirit and through our body and everything. So I did this video already once. It was almost an hour long, and I don't know what happened on YouTube. It went bye-bye. So, and I'm actually seeing an error here, so let me just double check this before we go any further. Okay, so we're still good. So on this topic, yeah, the energies and the vibrations, maybe they don't want me to do this, but so we're going to talk about the differences of energies and vibrations. So we are energy, and everything has an energy to it or a vibration to it, especially more natural things. We notice them a lot more. So let's start off in trying to get you to get into that mindset. So we think of the planets. Right now we have a comet that is coming through our area in the United States. I've got to see it. It's so awesome. The energies on it are amazing. Won't come through for another 6,800 years, they say. So when we look at the planets, we think, okay, well, what do you mean by energies? I don't really believe in that stuff. Well, we want to believe in it because it actually does affect us, affects our moods, affects who we are, affects all the energies around us and the vibrations around us. So imagine, and you're going back to your high school days, and they talked about, the planets and the moon, and then the tides, where the tides are high tide and the low tide. If you're near an ocean, you know what I'm talking about. So the tides come and go. Well, why do they come and go? Well, they come and go because the way that the planet is aligned with the moon, and the way that the moon and the planet, Earth and other planets, move around. So we actually are having a tide that comes in and comes out twice a day. So when I used to scuba dive, we'd want to always scuba dive on high tide. So we would have to know when those tides were coming in, when they were going out, when we wanted to be at a certain tide. And so they just come and go. We don't see the energies pulling from moon to earth to make those things happen. We just know that they're there. That's like when we talk about faith or the divine. How do you even know? Well, you might not see something, but you may see the effects of something. For example, let's talk about the wind. Can you see the wind? Can't see the wind. No, you can see maybe it's stuff blowing stuff around, or maybe you see it in the trees. That's the effect. So how do we know that energies and vibrations affect us. We have low and high vibrations, which also affect our energies. So that's how we're going to get started. So we're going to focus in on low and high vibrations. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, it's really sort of simple, because you have to sort of think of low as being, some people will want to picture something different because they just don't understand the concept. So they might think good and bad, high and low, good and evil, those kind of things. So when you're looking at all the negative aspects, or the things that may have more of a darker or dysfunctional side to it, we're looking at the low vibrations. If we're looking at something that is a positive nature, a positive effect, then we're looking at the high vibrations. So we want those all to meld. We all have these vibrations and energies in us, and we all have to meld them together. And that's what Get Balanced 2020 is about, figuring out how to put those low and high energies together so that they can work together as a team, rather than being like, if you imagine a battery, you have a positive and a negative, and they come together. But if you have a negative and a negative, they fight each other. If you have a positive and positive, they fight each other. It doesn't work. So we want to take that positive and negative energy and make them to intertwine and actually work in balance. So you'll hear some people in the spiritual world talk about shadow work. And everybody's like, well, what is shadow work? Well, shadow work is working on that little, usually it's from our inner child, and maybe from our childhood, that maybe some abuse or trauma or something of a negative pattern happened to us. But sometimes it's just our darker thoughts, and how to make sure that those darker thoughts, we accept them, we understand them, we thank them, but they have to work together, and that the positive has to overshine the negative. If not, then we end up with the negative overshining, and then we've got somebody that's really has maybe some attitude or thinking issues, processing thinking type issues. They end up in trouble or in jail or on drugs or things like that. And that's when the dark shadows over the light. But it can come back, and that we can work together. So that's what I'm talking about, low and high vibrations. So we also know those even in the electronic world, and we'll talk about this later, but radio frequencies and decibels, high decibels, low decibels, things like that. Everything just keeps things moving, and they're usually waves that go up and down, but that's how that works. So also too, so we want to remember that how it affects our lives. Okay, so here we go into the guts and the roots of it. So how does a low vibration affect our thinking, our choices, how we decide things and do things? So I'm going to give you a bunch of scenarios so that maybe one of them can relate to you, and then actually maybe you can use that for your own life, because this is about you. This isn't about me. This is just me giving you some tips and ideas. Hopefully the kids outside back aren't making too much noise, that you guys, this isn't affecting us, because I live in a very small neighborhood. But okay, so let's give you a low vibrational example. So if you are at school, if you're in college or even in high school, but you're working, you take that scenario, that workspace or school space. So if you walk in and you're happy and bubbly and you're like, good morning, how are you? And then you've got somebody there, coworker or a schoolmate that sits there and like, yeah, it's Monday. Oh, Monday, there's Monday. One of those grumpy, sort of low vibrational people. Okay, so they're that way. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, oh well, I'm going my way. And you just go sit down, go start doing your thing. But then that person begins to wear on everybody around you, and that energy is bouncing off everybody. Now, if you're not strong enough, you will absorb that energy, and before you know it, that whole room is grumpy, not happy, and has been brought down to a very low vibration. Does that make sense? It does happen. Try it sometime. Go in there all bubbly when somebody's in a bad mood. Now, the idea is for the person who's actually strong enough with their energies and their boundaries and things like that. I'm an empath, so I have to be. Otherwise, I'm absorbing everybody else's energies. I have to actually put up sort of this invisible bubble around me with a little gate so that I can actually let certain people in or out. And I'm able to close that gate so that it doesn't suck me dry from all their energy, or absorbing it and then feeling everything that they feel, which is very possible. And I could tell you another story about that one. But the thing is, right in this scenario, you want to stay in the light. Now, the positive energy, the high energy, the light energy, when you sometimes hear shadow work, light work, you'll hear those kind of things. But you want to stay on that positive. Try not to allow that negative or that dysfunctionalism of another person drag you down, because it's very easy to do. It takes much more energy to stay positive in that element, but you can do it. And before you know it, maybe you'll bring that person and that attitude up. So we say, stay in the light, stay in the light. So you actually want to stay literally up to the light. You want to keep your vibrations higher. So in that context, we can actually bring and change an atmosphere, all based on low and high energies. So what you want to do is create a positive energy, a positive lifestyle, a positive. And people are saying, well, how do I do that? I really don't want to be around those kind of people. I don't want to hang around those kind of people. A lot of the times when somebody is in there, there's reasons, and they need to get to the root of that, and that's what Get Balanced talks about. I actually have a 3-week series or a 4-week series on that, getting to the root of not only your thinking process, why you eat the way you eat, why you're exercising, all of these things that actually create us as our person that we are today. And it all is great because it can change if you don't like what you're going through or like who you are. So that is a really big thing. So the other thing is that when we're talking about vibrations, high and low vibrations, we want to stay, well, how do I create positive vibrations? How do I know I'm in a positive vibration? Or how do I know what vibration I'm in, right? What is your mood every day? How do you handle your life, your daily struggles, your daily stresses? So that's what you have to sort of analyze for yourself, is how you handle your life around you. So if you play the victim, oh my gosh, it happened to me. Why does it always happen to me? Oh my gosh, I never get a break. Oh my gosh. And it's a woe is me, pity party kind of thing. Your vibrations are extremely low. If somebody even has said to you more than 3 times, you know what, you're always a downer, or you're always depressed, or you got to always have anxiety. Or if you're noticing somebody once or twice, okay, whatever, that happens. Everybody gets depressed, everybody gets down. But if it's a day in and day out occurrence that people are mentioning this year after year, it's time to sit back and analyze, what vibrational energy am I really in? And maybe I am. And how do I get the help to do that? You need coaching to help you get through that, whether you find a good mentor or a coach. And if it's really, really deep, then you might need some professional help with a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a naturopath, or something in that end. But a lot of time, coaching and mentors can help you get through that and at least start you on the process. So, but the other thing too is, when you have a challenge, where is your life? Where is your mental status at that? Is it like you're falling apart? You can't handle it? Are you in a situation where you're just like, it's never going to get better, there's no hope? Okay, that's a low vibration. Now, if you were in a challenge like, okay, I'm in this, is there a solution that I can do with this? Usually the divine will give you the solution, but a lot of the times if you're in that, then you go ahead and you're like, okay, what is the solution to this? Is this something I can do, or is there something resource I can help myself with? Okay, if there's not that, then what do I need to do? Do I need to wait it out? Do I need to look for another alternative? So those are positive things to keep moving you forward, and your thought process begins process begins to think in that manner and keeping you up. So when you run out of all resources, how do you handle life in that center? If, for example, unfortunately, a lot of people have lost jobs and from COVID, and so are you taking it as like, I'm sitting at home, I'm moping around, I'm not doing anything, I'm actually just hopeless, I don't know what else to do? Well, if there's a chance that you could have applied for unemployment, you could have done that and moved forward with that. If you've done all the due diligence that you have as far as sources and resources and solutions for your life, sometimes it's just a waiting period. What are you doing in that waiting period? Are you woe is me, or are you actually saying, what can I do? Okay, I've got to wait. There's nothing else I can do. I've done all my due diligence. Do I want to, I'm looking for another job or whatever that is. But also, too, what are you doing with that extra free time? A lot of people waste a lot of free time. So you're either high vibration, low vibration. Are you taking that up to the high vibration and saying, well, maybe I'll learn a new hobby, or maybe I haven't, been taking care of my body. I'll go start walking. That's a free thing. There's lots of free things out there to do. Lots of research, and these companies, especially like cable and things like that, are giving people free time, or actually giving them time to maybe able to research and find new jobs or find new trade or whatever it is, because the whole world is changing. You may have to find a new trade. So that is what I'm talking about, keeping those vibrations high, thinking more on a constructive, not destructive thought process. Constructive is a high vibration, and the more that you do, the higher the vibration gets, the better things happen. Destructive thinking, low thinking, negative thinking, stuck thinking, that keeps your vibrations low, and it's very hard to grow from that if you don't start that process of forward thinking. Make sense? Whew, that was a lot. Now here's what comes next. So what if I'll give you an example first. So another thing that we look at in vibrations is something that we put off and we take in. Put off, take in. Remember I said I'm an empath. I have to be careful what I absorb, because I could be absorbing somebody's really negative, dirty, nasty attitude kind of thing. So I have to be mindful and I'll keep my invisible bubble there and maybe let them in. Nope, not going to. Not going to let that in. Just not going to. And how I take care of that, I walk away. I say thank you, but when you want to talk positive, I'll come back to you, kind of thing. And not everybody can be positive all the time. And it has to be a learned thing, especially if you've done it from little childhood up to adult. And it's something that you have to learn how to do, but you've got to be willing to want to change to do that. But back to giving off energies, taking in energies. Now, do you believe in the thing that they call law of attraction? You should, because whatever you put out, you're going to get back. So, and here this works a lot with our dating, with our marriage, with our family, especially close people around us, or people that even want to be our friends. We have to be really, really, really mindful when we get to this law of attraction, because the thing is, when we hit law of attraction, we're allowing certain energies in that could actually affect us not only now, but for our future. And that could be a wonderful thing, a very high vibration, or it could be a horrible, horrible low vibration. So being mindful, this is where the body and mind and spirit come together. And I'm going to talk a little bit about dating for this aspect, because I want to share an example for those of you that are out there single and how this would work. So, sorry, I'm going to turn my phone off. I thought I heard it go. So in that sense, okay, for example, if I go out and I try to date, catch a date or date somebody, or somebody asks me to go out with them, but I have not worked on my inner self or myself, and I'm bringing a lot of my past and a lot of my dysfunction and my low vibrations with me, and I decide to go out and date, how do I think that positive high vibration is actually going to be attracted to me? Because I'm putting off all this negative, this low vibration. I'm using these terms because sometimes people just, if I keep using low vibration, you may not resonate with that. So I go on a date. Oh yeah, I haven't had a date for several years, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just, rather than going on a date and saying, yeah, I haven't dated for a long time. It's just a choice that I just didn't want to because I was working on myself. And then that might say, well, what do you mean you were working on yourself? Kind of thing. But the thing is that you're bringing in a positive vibration and you're going to get back positive. So if you go in with, when you go into an interview for a job, or maybe you're going into an interview, you're an intern in a school and you want to go be impressive to a new potential boss that you've been dreaming to work for, you're not going to go in there, oh my gosh, my college money is costing me so much. I mean, I'm in debt, $900,000, $990,000. I've got all this, oh my gosh, I need this job. I really need this job, and I just don't want to move back home. Oh my gosh, that's even worse. So I just really need this job. I love this company. I always wanted to work for this company, but oh my gosh, I have so much debt. What does that sound like? Rather than going in, hi, I'm really happy to meet you. I'm one of the top students in my class. I really enjoy this company. I've watched it for many years. I've watched the profit and loss. I've watched, how this company grows. I really like what the CEO, blah, blah, blah's name is and his concept and his mission and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I would I'd love the opportunity to be part of the team. How does that sound? Low and high vibrational. I'm getting goosebumps. This is for somebody out there. Low, high vibrational. But we also have to mind, it's also the energies we put off. How do you go dressed into an interview? Do you go in there with your holy jeans and your flip-flops and a baggy t-shirt that maybe is all stretched out like the Simon Cowell's? Sorry, Simon. Anyway, so you don't go in an interview like that. You don't go into a date like that. You try to go and you're not lying because you got to walk in truth, because there is also energies in truth and lying. Remember, lying is actually low and what do you call it? Manipulation's low, that kind of thing. Walking in the truth is also very high vibration. So you don't want to go in there all made up, who you really aren't, who you wouldn't be showing up like every day. You dress the part, but you also go in whatever you have that is the best to present yourself. And that's the way that you bring your vibrations up, is present yourself in the best manner that you can. High vibrations. So law of attraction. Why? Okay. If somebody's dating you, and especially if you're married, how did you guys hook up? How did you guys meet? It was all visual. Most of it, the first time, is visual. We are humans. We're a visual being, whether you're woman or man. Even animals are visual. They have a little bit of different thing going on there, but we as human beings are very visual. What is the first thing? So when you looked at somebody and you were attracted to them, what was it? It was how they looked, but it was the energy they were putting off as well. So these are things that you can work not only in your dating, but your marriage. Maybe you've let yourself go for a while and the husband isn't paying much attention, or vice versa. The wife isn't paying much attention. What are you doing differently than what you actually meant? And maybe, you've fallen complacent and comfortable that I don't have to dress up. I can wear shorts and a t-shirt that looks like Simon Cowell's and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is that you actually are presenting yourself in a lower vibrational manner. That's okay on a day-to-day basis, but if you're married, you should have a date. You should be able to go and keep that energy spark alive, bringing it up. It's work. You have to keep working at positive energy, high vibrations all the time. And it is a fight, especially if you're in a bad mood, or you've been hurt, or you're depressed. And I'll give you another example. So my brother was murdered in 94. Okay. Yes, you're going to feel depressed. You're going to have a grieving time. You're going to be sad. You're going to go through all the every single emotion that you've had, including the memories of the good times that you've had with that person. That is okay. Being in a low vibration for the moment, but if you allow yourself to be over month after month, year after year, and you are not progressing back up to that positive light and high vibration, you will begin to spiral deeper and deeper, deeper, deeper into a lower, 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 lower vibration. That is not healthy. We have to get you moved up. We have to get you moved up. So the thing is that is really, really important for you to actually just keep moving your vibrations up. Does that make sense? Dating, family, friends, anything like that. Texting is texting is necessary in this day and age, but we allow people to get away with way too much for texting. I actually sort of made my boundaries, and that's another video on Get Balanced 2020. If you go into the mind about setting boundaries and standards, it is not okay if you're especially dating to be texting 24/7. You should get on that phone. You should be Skyping, or you should be FaceTiming. You should be actually face to face. The energy is here so that you can actually see what is going on. And the reason why is because majority of our conversations and good communications, 67%, more than 67%, is actually communicated via body language. Yes, that is true. Trust me, I went to college in communication. It's like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. But a lot of how we communicate is actually visually. Why do you think empaths like to see people, or we look into your eyes, or we can feel that vibration? Even if you're not physically here, I can get that vibration. I'm getting goosebumps. Vibration and energies and everything before we even say. When I do an intuitive session with somebody, which means intuitive coaching, helping somebody get through some things intuitively, I don't have to hear them say a lot. It helps because I need to understand what actual situation they're in. I'm not psychic. I can't read your mind, but I can know some of the things that are going on with you. That's through your vibrations and your energies that you're putting off, high and low vibrations. So make sure that if you are communicating, that you're communicating with somebody, dating, marriage, whatever. These phones are so technology savvy. Have them to FaceTime. If they can't FaceTime, for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then, you got to set your standards and boundaries. You need to set them high. Have somebody bring them up. You don't bring your standards down. Anyway, that's another video. I'd love for you to see that, and maybe I can go ahead and I'm going to put my hand like this so that I would remember to post that on there so that you can go to that. So you just click on the link and then you can go to that. And I'm trying to see here. Okay, so I'm on a time limit. I got several things I need to do today. So empath vibrations and things like that, that's what we're talking about. So shadow work, we already talked about that. You're basically, this is the inner part of you that actually we all have it. We were born with it, that we have sort of a negative side, a side that actually is a darker side that we pretty much keep squashed because that's the way society and that's the way we want to keep living our life on the positive. I'm not going to go too much into that. I could do a shadow work video for you guys too. The last thing I'm going to talk before we talk about how to help yourself with that, with lifting your vibrations up, is that toxic people, toxic families. And you're like, well, what does that mean? That means somebody that is coming into your life that is not for your best interest, is not supportive of your purpose or your calling, could be also mentally abusive, verbally abusive, mentally emotionally abusive, or physically abusive, allowing somebody that is controlling, somebody that is actually oppressing your way of life to lift you up and bring you to your calling. Toxic people are very much most likely in your family somewhere. But as far as like me, sometimes we have to either back them off, or sometimes we have to divorce them completely and not talk to them ever again. Our friends can be toxic. If there was jealousy, thank you. If there's jealousy, if there is envy and those kind of things, those are very low vibrations. Insecure, that's very insecure, very low vibrations. And if they're jealous or envious, but they're still lifting you up, it's like, I want to be like that. I want to do like that. I want to be what you're doing. And then that's your job to help them get there, because that's what friends do, help each other. But if they're like, wow, why do you get that? Why do you have that? And I don't. Well, that's a toxic thought process. That is not a healthy, it's a very low vibrational thought process. So you have to be mindful of the people that you're bringing into your life. Remember, as an empath, I say I keep that invisible bubble, but I have a gate to allow people in that I want and not. And sometimes I have to open that gate and push them back out, especially if they're trying to be manipulative to get something from me. That gate's open, and that will never come open again. Well, there's some more to that. Anyway, so we have to be very careful with toxic people, bringing them into our lives. Now's a really good time in your life, especially while we're going through this, to sit down with a piece of paper and list all the people that you know that are close to you. I'm not talking about acquaintances. I'm not talking about co-worker friends. I'm talking about your circle of friends that you consider friends, people that you interact with, people you do things with, people you talk to on a frequent basis. All these people around you that say they love you or care for you. It's time to evaluate. Put their names down on a piece of paper right next to them. Do they have my better interest? Are they constructive or destructive? And go down your list. Maybe it's time to clean the closet, per se. So that's what toxicity could do for your lower and higher vibrations. We actually need to keep our friends that we are in it for the better. Now, if you're actually going into a new dating situation, what you want to sort of keep these red flags going in your head, because for me, I'm single. I give you 3 dates. And if on those 3 dates, I feel like, no, there's been too many red flags for that somebody's maybe toxic or still living in the past, they're going to bring that forward into this investment here, then it's time to go. And that's okay, because it's okay to be single. You keep your vibrations up. A great time to actually learn about your vibrations, how to keep them up, how to work on yourself. That's what you should be doing before you go into a dating relationship anyway, and get involved in a relationship, is make sure you are whole as a person while going in. Because here's the thing, you go in either rescuing somebody, they're rescuing you, or you go in whole. So what you don't want to do is go on a date and they're talking about their past, they're talking about their exes, they're talking about the mama drama or the daddy drama, or how many kids from each parent they have, or I've got 6 kids all from different parents or different daddies, mommies, whatever that is. That stuff needs to stay there. They're not ready. They're not ready. Their vibrations are very low. You don't want to date somebody, and then maybe they're a really good person and they've had a lot of things happen to them. There's nothing wrong with that, but they just need to do their own homework before they bring somebody else in. Because you're investing time and energy. You want somebody with a higher vibration. You want somebody that's coming in whole, and not be afraid to ask anything, tiptoe. Because if you're afraid to ask a question, they get mad, or you feel like you're having to dance around the questions you can ask them. That is extremely low vibration. That is extremely low vibration. So you don't want to bring that kind of person into your life. You need them to you should be able to ask them anything and everything's okay. Because we are adults. We can agree to disagree, or we can say, you know what, that's not my morals. That's not my integrity. It's nice to meet you. Thank you. I really appreciate it, but we're not a good match. We're adults. Why can't we do that? Keep your vibrations high. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is things that you can do for yourself to keep your vibrations high. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about RFIDs and radio frequency, because I really think this is important, because a lot of people are misunderstanding what an RFID is, and they will be probably injected to most everybody here in the future. I would say probably in the next 10 years. So anyway, sadly. Anyway, so what you want to do for yourself is find the things that bring you joy, things that bring you happiness, things that, well, happiness is external, but that's okay for a moment, but you need to find the joy, because joy is internal and that will be there forever. Happiness is external and that will be there temporarily, because everything is changing, always changing. Joy is like a memory, a positive memory that you've had, something that you've done that actually is not tangible. It's something that you actually feel. It's not something that's been touched. But it could have been you touched somebody and it made you feel good. So, but you're remembering that joy in your heart, not the actual touch itself. But so you want to be able to bring those memories, positive memories, lift them up, bring those. Maybe it's a music, maybe it's a song, something that's going to make you happy and joyful and full of peace and calmness, things like that. Maybe you love nature. Maybe getting out camping, maybe going to a park and having a picnic, maybe just having, if you're on working and you're just stressed out with your job, taking lunch outside somewhere, even if it's in your car, so that you can get some peace and quiet and allow yourself to think positive, or turn on some positive music, or listen to an inspirational teacher or a pastor or a mentor or somebody to be able to bring those vibrations back up. Maybe you like drives. Maybe you want to take a drive to the ocean or the beach. Energy is actually phenomenal outside. It's phenomenal. You want to be in nature if you can, because you can pull in. Why do we talk about vitamin D? Now, in a nutrition aspect, I'm going to educate you on something. Everybody says, go outside and get some vitamin D from the sun. Wrong. Actually, the sun helps us absorb vitamin D. We don't actually get it from vitamin D. And now that's from the nutrition part of Get Balanced 2020. We talk about those kind of things. But the thing is that nature does help us in many, many ways. Another thing, too, is maybe you like a good, positive, uplifting movie or something of that nature. Got to be careful with those, though, because they always seem to go like this. But how about praying and meditating? When I did martial arts, we meditated all the time. Go to church, you pray, but you can do that anytime, any day. It's free. And people think, well, I don't know how to pray. You just talk. You just talk to the divine. So I talk to him nonstop all day long. And yes, I do know his voice, and I do know when I'm on track and I'm listening to him and doing things like that. But those are to bring your energies up. I'm not going to even say how to bring them down, because that is not the way we want to go. We want to lift everything up. All right. So hopefully that was helpful on that. So now I'm going to talk about RFIDs and radio frequencies, and vibrations, and higher and lower vibrations, because this is going to be really important for your future, to educate you, because this is what I studied. When I studied criminal justice in college, I had to do a term paper, and I didn't know what to do it on. And so what I actually was starting to do it on was actually human trafficking. And I'm not talking about sex trafficking, that's part of it, but I was talking about trafficking of body parts. This is, and a lot of them come from South Africa, but this got into a whole different realm once I started studying that, because it actually took me to a place of RFIDs. And that actually became another paper, and I just got so engulfed, I kept researching and researching and researching after even the term was done. So on RFIDs, what that stands for, an RFID is a radio frequency identification device. Okay, sounds pretty simple, right? And it was actually something that they actually developed to be able to track people. And this has been many, many years already. The government has been doing it for many, many years. And not only for tracking people, they used it for identification. For example, if there was a war and where there was a mass of casualties, they had to have a way to be able to identify the bodies. Well, they're not going to put toe tags everybody out in war. They injected them with a RFID so that when they actually gave that number of that RFID, you would actually go and have a radio frequency, RFID, radio frequency, tagged to that number so they could locate that body. Well, that's not only was used in war and probably still is today in a different manner, but the other thing too, they did that with natural disasters. So natural disasters, you have a massive amount of casualties. They don't know what to do with the bodies, so they have to identify them somehow. They don't know who these bodies are, so they have to identify them somehow so that if a loved one comes and says, this is my dad, they can say, oh, this is number blah, blah, blah. So they're injected with an RFID. That happens not only in those situations, and what happens is that is a great thing to do. But in this futuristic RFID, what people don't understand, there has been several people all over the world injected without their knowledge, without anything of them knowing, and they also are, how do I put this? So if they're injected, and you're like, well, how would they be injected? They don't even know they are. They don't even know they are. I mean, I could be injected. In fact, I have questions sometimes because I get this tingling in my, and it's not my nerve, in my shoulder. And I'm like, what is that? So RFIDs can be injected, and that's what we're talking about in this COVID time, about the vaccine. And if you look at Sweden, they're actually putting the RFIDs here. Then you scan it. It tells you all that. Okay, so that can actually be a good thing, but to a point. So what the future and what I've studied and researched, and if somebody wants to prove me wrong, go ahead. I would love to see the actual documents and data that actually comes not from the US government, but comes from actual deep research from this, because the government hides so much anyway. These RFIDs, if you think of it, radio frequency. We need satellites to actually, now if we're going to have massive amounts of people have them, radio frequency. What happens is with a radio frequency, we're talking about vibrations. Okay, you can turn up a decibel, you can turn it down a decibel, turn it up a decibel, turn it down a decibel. So you're also playing with different kinds of vibrations. What they've actually done with these is they've injected people and they've used them as guinea pigs. And so they turn up the decibels and document, turn it up even more, document, turn it up even more. How is this person reacting? What are they reacting to in these decibels or these radio frequencies going up and down? And they can actually increase them to the point where you become violent. So, or they can lower them to the point where you're just like walking zombie. That's the scary part of RFIDs. There are people that actually scan to see if you have an RFID, but good luck finding one, because the government doesn't want them to be doing that, because then the people would find out that they have them and then they would be in trouble. So you have to go almost underground to find somebody that will actually scan them. Most of them are not here in the United States. You have to go to another country. I've watched videos, I've watched and educated myself in this, and it is just scary and sad. And a lot of these people couldn't understand why their moods were going all over the place. And it's just because then the other thing is, can they remove the RFID? If you remove the RFID, then they know that it's been removed. So somebody had to remove it. But the other thing too is, the last thing on RFIDs is that in the future, these are going to, if you don't have one, you won't be able to go to the bank, you won't be able to get your money, you won't be able to buy food, you won't be able to buy anything, because it's all connected to your bank accounts, your credit cards, and all that kind of stuff. That's the scary part of RFIDs that a lot of people do not know about. And that is the coming future. And it is A control device? Gee, what better way to control? So that is about RFIDs. That's all I'm going to say is just the general. So, so that you can understand and maybe begin to educate yourself a little bit more on those. You can definitely find the information out there if you dig deep enough and go from there. So that is it on vibrations. That is it on high vibrations, low vibrations. If you'd like me to go into that a little bit more, please make comments or like, share, subscribe. Please subscribe so that I can know if you watched the video, or if you share, I know that you've watched the video or even like it. But that will help in growing the channel as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a great day, and be safe and keep your vibrations up and positive. You guys have a good day.